Hello everyone, today I want to show you a doorway charm that I made to create a liminal space for my witchy room, which is what you see behind me. This collaboration was created by Olivia, the Witch of Wonderlust. It was her idea for a bunch of us content creators to do this. So if you click on the hashtag in the title of this video, it is hashtag doorway spell. You will see all these other creators that have created different charms for various purposes to hang in doorways. So the challenge itself was to either create a charm that was like protecting the space, or maybe you want to hang a doorway charm to make people more chatty, or to make the space more welcoming, or to invite certain energies. So we all had full creative freedom to make whatever doorway charm we wanted to do. I personally chose to make one to create liminal space. So this charm can be used if you want to enhance or improve psychic phenomena, any sort of spirit communication if you work with spirits. The word liminal in the term liminal space comes from the root word limens, which means threshold. So it is really this space that is kind of between worlds. It is between the mundane world, the physical world, and the spirit world. And in this liminal space, you can do a lot of ritual, a lot of magic, and experience a lot of heightened spiritual activity, connect to your intuition a little bit deeper, or your psychic abilities. So if you have a space that you like to do a lot of magic or spiritual work, it would be so great to hang this doorway charm in that space to really enhance your spiritual experiences, and also just to help you tap into your most psychic self. There are so many different ways to create liminal spaces, and if you don't know what a liminal space is beyond me mentioning it in this video, I highly recommend you research liminal spaces, because there are so many different ways to create them and work within them, so I encourage you to further your research on that. For this ritual in particular, I recommend that you perform this on a Monday. Monday is ruled by the moon, or you could do this during the planetary hour for the moon. You could also perform this on a full moon, so either a full moon, a Monday, or during the hour of the moon. The items needed to create this charm is actually quite simple, and you really can just do a stick and a feather. I did add some additional correspondences here to consider. This is actually my grounding stick that I've used many times in ritual, and I've carved it with a bunch of symbols that have meaning to me, but really it can be any stick. I just don't use this in ritual as much anymore, so I'd rather turn it into a charm and have it hang in my doorway, especially because it has so much memory for me and just holds so much power with all these symbols and with how many times I've used it in ritual. So you will start with a stick, and this serves as your base, the bridge between worlds. Next, you will need a feather, preferably one that you have found yourself, or one that has some sort of personal symbolism. This crow feather, I actually saw it fall from the sky outside my bedroom window, and it just fell so perfectly right into my front yard. And it has personal meaning to me because that particular day I was looking for a sign, and I ended up getting a sign. So feathers can represent flight into the spirit realm. They can represent the air element, which is all about the travel of messages from one place to another. And depending on your spiritual tradition, feathers can also symbolize messages from the divine or messages from angels, whatever you particularly believe in. If you don't believe in angels, that's fine. But a lot of people believe that feathers are a message from divinity, or at least some sort of connection to divinity. I'm really utilizing this as a symbol of flight in the form of spirit flight when you're going on an astral adventure. If you want to call it astral projection or whatever, we're creating a liminal space, so I want this to be the token to the spirit realm. You might also want to consider adding a key into this charm. A key is great for unlocking new roads, new opportunities, etc., but they can also be used to unlock different aspects of your psyche, different dimensions. Again, going with the theme of liminal spaces here and really unlocking the spirit realm, you can use a key to symbolize that. And you might also want to consider hanging a pendulum from this as well, as a way of tapping into a bit of spirit communication. I don't use this pendulum regularly. If I did, I would not include this in a charm, because obviously once I tie it to the branch, it's going to be hung up above my door, and I'm not going to be able to easily get it down to use it. So I happen to have an extra pendulum here that I don't use very often, but when hanging it on the branch, and if it hangs above the doorway, when everything is still during ritual and there is no movement, there's no wind from the window being open, there's no air coming through the vents, and you see this move, it can serve as a way to communicate with spirits and also confirm their presence. So definitely recommend getting a pendulum and tying it to the stick, especially if you're going to do a lot of evocations. If you're working with spirits and you want confirmation that they're there, they can use this as a way of telling you, yes, they are there, or as a way of responding to your questions. So, you know, if you see this swaying in the yes position, or if you see this swaying in the no position. And again, there's no wind from the window, no air from the vents, you have not moved. It's great confirmation. And then from there, I decided to add 2 crystals as well. You definitely don't have to if you don't want to, but the one on the left is called Scolasite. It's one that I have used quite a bit for lucid dreaming. It really helps aid you in that marriage between your conscious and your subconscious mind. I have had such good success having this on a pendant and wearing it when I sleep at night, or putting a little bit of Scolasite under my pillow. And it really does help increase the frequency of lucid dreaming. So I wanted to add this because, of course, lucid dreaming is a perfect liminal space. I'm also adding some snowflake obsidian because snowflake obsidian is really great for improving and enhancing your intuition, but it also adds this layer of protection. Any kind of obsidian has some sort of protective quality to it. And while I am creating a liminal space here, I want to also add a layer of protection just for myself within this liminal space. Once the charm has been put together, it's time to start the consecration process, which basically just assigns this charm's intentions. So I always like to start with a little bit of incense. You can use mugwort, frankincense, myrrh, any sort of correspondence that has to do with the astral realm, spirit flight, you know, creating this liminal sacred space. I decided to use an incense that I created myself. I use this same blend every single time I sit down to meditate or anytime I do a ritual. You might recognize this incense cone because I made this incense cone in a video a while back, a couple months back. So I want to start with the air element here because, as I was talking about previously, the air element is not just for your mind and intellect and mental space. It's also for spirit flight and the travel of messages. And if we're really talking about spirit communication, the air element is so important. So what I'm doing here is I'm taking the charm and passing it through the incense smoke, and I'm saying something along the lines of, "By the power of air, I consecrate you." Something simple, it doesn't have to be elaborate, but pick some sort of incense smoke that really helps you get into an altered state of consciousness. Next, I'm going to consecrate this charm by the power of the water element. Water is so great for enhancing intuition, psychic abilities, tapping into your subconscious mind, your dreams, anything mystical and magical. So you can add some additional correspondence here as well and use water that you have left out under a new moon, a full moon, whatever it is that you personally prefer. For this ritual, I would recommend full moon water because that is when our intuition is usually at its highest. So just taking the water and sprinkling it over the charm. You can say a little incantation here. I usually just keep it simple and say, "By the power of water, I consecrate you." Moving on to the earth element, you can just use salt here. So I ended up making a mixture. I didn't show the full mixture on camera, but I ended up using oak bark, mugwort, and salt together. But again, salt by itself is perfectly fine. But just taking a moment to really concentrate on earth energy and grounding this into the mundane realm as well, because I don't want this charm to be too airy and too far into the spirit realm, because I want to create a liminal space, this threshold, this space that has 1 foot in the earthly realm and 1 foot in the spirit realm. So the earth element and consecrating it with these items such as salt or oak or mugwort that has correspondences to psychic phenomena is a great way to still keep this charm grounded. So again, here, just keeping it simple, I would say something like, "By the power of earth, I consecrate you." And finally, I am taking my candle here to utilize the fire element. So I really want to use the heat from the flame to bring life into this charm. The heat and the fire produces the passion, the energy force necessary to really bring this charm live. Again, you can utilize certain elements if you want. You definitely don't have to use all the elements. I prefer to use all the elements because I think they play a wonderful role in consecrating this charm. And I would finish it by saying, "By the element of fire, I consecrate you." And now we have the finished product. So here you can see all my charms hanging, it's not beautiful, okay? It is looking a little rough. It's rustic. What are we doing? We're doing cottagecore rustic witch in the woods is the vibe. I am not a crafty person. It's hard for me to make things look beautiful, and I kind of like that it looks a little rugged and witchy. After ritual completion, every time that I walk into this witchy room here and I want to sit down to do some spiritual work, maybe I want to sit down with my tarot cards, talk to some spirits, or whatever it is I'm wanting to do in my spiritual practice, when I walk in the doorway, I would visualize myself crossing this threshold and entering into this liminal space. You can either visualize it almost like a liquid pool that you're walking into, however that looks like to you. So it serves as this subconscious reminder every time I step into this space, while also adding its own little magical elements with the symbolism that we used in the charm. So for maintenance from here, what I would do is ever so often, maybe once a week, once a month, once every 3 months, whatever maintenance looks like for you. It's going to be different for everyone, of course, but I would just recharge it with my intention. I think I actually have an oil. It's a psychic oil, any sort of oil that has some sort of correspondence to psychic abilities and intuition, the spirit realm, talking to spirits, etc. Anything like that would be fine. Or even just taking a little bit of mugwort oil or water that has been infused with mugwort and then re-anointing that charm would be a really great way to recharge it. So every now and then I'll just feed a little bit more of my energy into it to keep this charm alive and full of life so that the energy is maintained and continuously creating this liminal space for me to do work in. And don't forget to check out all the other creators doing this hashtag. I know there's going to be so many videos that I personally want to watch as well. So again, it's hashtag doorway spell. You can click on it in the title of this video and it will take you to all the other creators doing this charm challenge. Thanks for watching. See you soon.